JavaScript basic building blocks, right? So first of all, we covered about the data types, right? I told you what are the different types of data types we have, but in when you write the things in JavaScript, right, you do not need to specify this, right? But I mean, behind the scenes, right, it does categorize them under different data types. But from the coding perspective, you don't have to care about it. You will just create a variable, right, and provide a value to it. Let's say name equals to Akhil, right? That's it. You don't have to tell that this can only hold string, right? So that is how JavaScript works. Second is about the declaration type. Declaration keyword, right? So we saw about the four different things, like let, const, where, and using nothing, right? So there are four things. So again, we discussed all of that. Then we move towards operations, like what all operations you can do, arithmetic operations and all that. So we covered all of that yesterday. Apart from it, we also I told you about the data types, like we have different types of data types and how you can move from one data type to another, right? And especially for the Boolean part, what was the concept of truthy and falsy, right? Truthy and falsy. So we discussed that part yesterday, and also we converted from numbers to string and strings to number. So we did all this, right? The manual approach is called conversion, and the automatic approach, which JavaScript does by itself, right, is called as coercion. Okay. See, these terminologies are very important, so please do remember them. So it's coercion because people in interviews, right, just I mean, they just throw a word at you, right, and you have to understand. So always remember, right, what is coercion. Okay, moving ahead from this, right? What are the other basic building blocks? There are many actually. We have to cover a lot of them. We have to cover about today. We'll cover about the remaining operations. We just covered the arithmetic one. So today I'm going to cover about the what we have a comparison one, right? We call it as comparison. We have equality one. We have to cover this part also. We have to cover the logical operations, right? That and on and all. So these three are very vital. So we'll cover these first. Then we are going to spend time on strings, which is our data type in primitive data type in JavaScript. So we'll spend some time on it, like how do you work on it. And if we have the time, right, I mean, not today or maybe tomorrow, we can do it. The other things which you have to cover and which I call it as a basic building block to JavaScript is arrays. And then we have to talk about objects, and then we have to talk about functions. Once we cover all of this, right, then I will say, okay, we have covered some basic concepts of JavaScript, right? Okay, but today let's focus on our part, which is this part and this part. Let's see like how much we can cover. Okay, let me start. So it's our new board. Okay, yeah. So let's start with the comparison one, right? Comparison. What do we mean by comparison operators? Comparison operators are, let's say, if you have two int values, right, or let's say numbers, right, let's say 5 and 7, right, you want to find out, okay, that you want to compare those two numbers and want to know whether someone is greater than or less than, right? So you would check whether 5 is greater than 7, right, or not, right? And once this is evaluated, you should get a boolean value as an output, right? You should get like it's false, right? It's false if you check this. Similarly, what are the other operations? Less than equal, greater than equal to, less than equal to, and all that, right? So these are the different operations which are called as the comparison operations, right? So all of these are available like any other language. So let's try them out first. So I'll come here. Let's do this part. Let number one equals to 5. Let's num2 equals to, let's say, 7 only. Let is greater equals to num1 greater than num2. Let's see, can we print this? It's greater, and I will also print the type of this. Okay, so Let's bring this up, save this, and run this. Okay, you see, we got false, right? And which is correct, right? Because what it is doing is it is doing this 5 greater than 7, which is a false operation, right? Because 5 is not greater than 7. So you can see it was evaluated and you got a response which is a boolean value, which is a false thing, right? And that got assigned to is greater. So is greater data type became what? Boolean. That's why you're saying boolean, right? Okay, I mean nothing very special about it. I think this is working as other languages, right? Similarly, you can try with the less than equal to, right? Like less than here. So similarly, this time it would be true, right? It would be true and boolean. If you try to do it with let's say 5 and 5, or let's say 5 and 5. So if I say less than equal to, right, and if I do this, it will be what? It will be true, right, everyone? I hope there is no confusion, right? If I run this, what output should I get? 5 less than equal to 5. So it will be checking whether, sorry, not 7, 5. It is checking whether the 5 is less than 5. That is not true. 5 is not less than 5. It is equal to true. So it is checking both. It is checking the second part, which is equal to. So that suffice my need. So it will say yes. It is not less than, but it is equal to. And I was asking here to check both the things, right? Whether it should be either less than or equal to. So the equal to part became valid. So we will get the value as true, right? So this is how it is. And similarly for the greater than sign, right? So you can write it like this and run it. It will again be true. Okay, so again, nothing fancy around it, but since this it exists, so I wanted to cover. Now the second operation, this is about the comparison operations. Comparison operations. The second operation is about the logical operations. What are logical operations? Logical operations are your and, or, and not, right? So if you wanted to check two conditions, right, and based on it you want to make a decision. Let's say I am asking, okay, let's say I ask you to write a program saying that write me a program where you have two inputs. Let's say you have the gender. Okay, you have the gender. So male and female, right? You can have for this value, and let's say you will also take an age as a factor, and you will say okay, and you will take an input of age. So you will say 18, whatever someone says, right? 56 or 90, something, whatever age is, right? Someone feeds in this value, and I'm saying that what you should do is you should let's say if someone, I'm saying that okay, print this. If someone is if the gender is male, right, and age is less than let's say 18, right? So in that case, right, you should call it as what we say, that it's a teenager, right? The person is a teenager, right? Teenager, or I think that is what we call it, right? So let's say boy teenager, right? But if it was female, right, and less than 18, so it should be calling it girl teenager, right? Let's say something like this. If you see, right, I am trying to do what? I'm trying to check both the things together, right? So if these two, I want to make a decision based on two conditions. One is this condition, and second is this condition, right? So there is an operation required to club those outputs together, right? So that's why I'm saying that this is called as a logical operation, right? Here you will compare whether gender equals to male, right? If it becomes, let's say it is true. Let's say you feed in the value as true as male only, right? So it returned true, and let's say this is also true, right? Now we have three logical operations. One is and, second is or, and third one is not, which is a negation of any value. So when we talk about and, right, so what is the table which it follows? The Boolean table. It says, if let's say we are checking two conditions, condition one and condition two, and overall result would be what? Let's say if we can create a table here, true, true, false. I think I can do this, right? True, true, yes, false, sorry, false, and true. So these are the only four possible options, right? Based on permutation combination that you can get. So if we are using and, right, and operation between checking these two conditions, and you say one is true and other is false, right, the output would be what? In the case of and operation, it should
False.
be false, right? It
False.
should be false. So if we take this, right, this is also true, this is also true, so this is true, right, because both are true. So using the and
Yeah.
operation, it will treat it as true. If both are false, then it is false, right? Anyhow false, because both are false. If this is false and this is true, this is will be what? Again false
False.
only, right? So in the case of AND operation, if you are checking multiple conditions, right, all the conditions should be true, and only then the entire result of the condition would be true. You can see here, right? Everything has to be true. Only then you will receive true. Otherwise, if even one of them became false, right, the output would be false. This is what, and I mean, this is an AND logical operation, right? The output of this is how it works like. Similarly, if you would, instead of saying and, if you used or, let me create the result for the or, right? This is for the and this is for the or. Let's say now instead of saying and, you use or. Or means either case, right? It is like either this should be true. If this is true, then I'm good, right? I do not even care to evaluate the second part, right? But either of the two conditions should be true. If even one became true, I will consider my output as to be true. So if I have to check the conditions, right? If this is true and this is false, and I'm using OR operation, right? The output returned to us would be true, right? Here in the case, both are true, so anyhow this will be true only. Here both are false, right? Both are false, so this will be false. It will never be true. In the last case, we have one thing as true, so the entire result will become true. So here, right, what you see is in the OR operation, right? If even one of the option is true, you get true here, right? So when do you get false? If everything is false. This option. Okay. Let's see this in action. Actually, I think I'm sure you already know all this. I'm just trying to bring it into a tableau format so that it is you can recollect everything, right? Okay, let's do it here. So what I'll do here is uh, let's take those values only. Let's say let gender equals to male, and let age equals to 18. Okay. Uh, yeah, let's say this only. So what I'll do is I will compare, not compare, sorry. So I will okay, we have not covered if else loop, but let me just use it just to so I can spare some time. So how do you write if else condition in JavaScript? I will talk about in depth about if else, but for the time being, right, just understand that you will create a if, right, if keyword, then open the brackets, and here you will type gender. You're comparing. If you want to compare things, right, you have to use double equal to. Okay. Again, this is something which I am going to about talk next about the logical. Once I cover the logical operations, I am about to reach to equality operation also. But as of now, but just understand that if you have to compare things, you have to use double equal to. Okay. So I'm checking if gender equals to male, right? This is my one condition. This is one condition, and there's a second condition which I want to check, which is about age. So I want to check if the age is 18, right? Now these are two different conditions, right? And I want to, so this condition would be evaluated, and you can check gender is currently M only, right? And we are checking whether it is M and not, right? So this will return me what? It will return me true, right? If you check this, right, this is comparing an age to this value. So currently the value of age is 18, so it will be returning me true only. But right, but these are two different conditions, and I want to join them, right? What logic I want to use is on me. I want to use AND operation, right? So you will write AND. I think we use what? AND, or we use ampersand 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 ampersand, right? So this is the symbol which you have to use if you have to use the AND operation between two conditions. So I am checking if that is the case. Then do what? Then print console.log console.log boy teenager, right? Let's say, right? Whatever I'm writing, teenager. So this is one thing, right? So let me run this and see what happens here. You can see, right? Currently, it returned boy teenager, right, as a value. I hope this is you understand this part. Let me also create an else condition so that we know that if it is not true, it should say something. Console.out log. Let me say don't know. Right? Let's say don't know. Okay. Now again, if I run it again, right, I will get what? Boy teenager, right? Because this is returning true and this is also returning true. So collectively, since I'm using AND operation, so this entire thing has to be true only then if block will work, right? Okay. And there was a need to concatenate, to form the logic based on two conditions. So that's why I'm using ampersand ampersand. Now let me change one value. I'm changing 18 to 19 now, right? So what will happen now? This will return me what? This will return me anyone? True, right? Still true. What about this one? This will return me false,
False.
right? So now true and operation false. So what did we learn about it? True ampersand false becomes gives me what? False, right? So since it is false, it will not go inside this if block. It will go inside the else block, and it should print me this. Let's run this. You see, don't know, right? Now if let me change this also. Let me make it false, and let me make it 18. So what will happen this time? This will return me false, and this will return me true. But but entire, because I'm using AND operation, right? So entire thing is what? False, right? Because this was false. So this will again give me this only, right, as an output. Don't know, right? Let me change both of them. Now I'm changing both of them. So it is F and this is 19. So this is going to return me false. This is going to return me false. So the entire operation is false. It will not go inside this. It will go inside this. Don't know, right? Okay, what about the OR operation? So if you have to apply the OR operations, you simply have to use pipe symbol. Pipe symbol is something which is where the key above the you have a backslash, right? What we call it as backslash, right? So if you, at least on the Windows machine, Windows laptop, if you type shift and press that backslash, you get this pipe sign, right? So you have to put two pipe signs over here, right? Which is like a symbol for the OR operation. So you are using an OR logic between these two conditions. Now, if even one of them became true, the entire output would be considered as a true, and that's why this logic will work, right? If this has to work, right, then in that case this has to return as false, and in the OR operation it will only return false if both of them are false, right? Which is the current case. But let me just start from the other thing, right? So you can see here, in this case, right, this will return false, and this will return true, and this will return false. So if I run it now, what should output should I get? Boy teenager, right? Because this time I'm using the OR operation. Okay. Similarly, if I change this one to female and this to 18, it will still give me. So this one is true, but this one is false. But overall operation is true. Boy teenager, right? The other part, let me bring both of them as true. So if both are true, the entire operation is true. Boy teenager, right? The only way to get the false is if both are failing, right? So now this will return false and this will return false, and there is no true conditional, right? Out there, so the entire thing would be false. So that's why it will go there. Don't know, right? So this is what the AND operation and OR operation is about. The last operation, right, in the logical thing is the NOT operation. Let me bring it down. So NOT means the negation of something you already have a value of. So let's say I was comparing this, right? So let me say let okay, let me say, let is valid equals to whether 5 greater than 7, right? So what do you think it will print me? It will print me is valid, right? So this is valid. So let me just comment this out actually. So if I run this, it will return me what?
False.
It should be false, right? So,
False.
so let me clear this up and run this. This is false. Now I want to reverse the operation, right? Whatever output I have false now, right? As an output, I got false. I want to do the opposite of it, right? Whatever output I've got, I just want to negate it. If it is false, I want to convert it into a true. So what I'll do is put this exclamation mark before this operation, right? And whatever value it will have, right, it will negate that. So false will be negated, so it will become true. We learn in mathematics, right? -1 into -1 becomes what? 1, right? So that is something like this. So let me try to run this and see. It became true, right? If I would have done this, let's say is 5 less than 7. So this would have originally been true. So let me remove this. Okay, let me just run it again. True, right? It returns me true. So if I negate this, it will become the opposite of it, whatever value you've got. False. Right? Now, since I hope this is clear, right? You're just negating the value. If you understood this part, let me do this operation in the above case where we were doing all the other operations. Now see this. I'm uncommenting this. What I will do now is I can do a lot of things actually. I'm just giving you one example, right? So see here. Now try to understand. There are brackets here, right? So if you talk about the scoping part, this is first thing which will get evaluated. So this will be returning me what? This is gender equals to male. So this is not correct, right? So this will return me what? So let me write here. It will return me false, right? This will return me false. Then we have a pipe operation. Let me put it here. And the second condition will be evaluated age equals to 18, which is still false, right? False. So our operation now these two would be evaluated and you will get what? False, right? So you will get false here. So if I try to do this, you are getting false here, right? As an output of this. But you have placed exclamation mark here, right? Which you are negating the output. What will happen here is you are negating the false. So what will happen here is it will become true. So although it in the if I would have not used it, let me remove this, right? Let me show you what happens here, right? If I run this, right, what will happen? This is false, this is false, so entire thing is false. It would print don't know, right? But if I put an exclamation mark, what will happen? The false, the output is false, and I put an exclamation mark, it would be converted, it would be negative to what? True here, right? And so what will happen is this piece of code will run well. Boy teenager, right? I mean, it depends on your logic, right? Where you want to do all of these stuff. So depending on your needs, you can put in, right? It's not that you have to do it every time, but it has to be based on your logic. But you should be knowing that like how things are working. That is my only agenda here, right? So there are three logical operations which we need to care about: and, or, and not. Okay. Okay. Any query on this? Anyone? No? Okay. Let's move ahead. Again, this is not just for Java. This is for JavaScript. It is valid for all these languages, right? It is nothing. It is nothing like it is only for JavaScript. Okay, let's move to the next topic. Equality. That is a very important point here in JavaScript. And here things are there is one thing which is different from other languages. Okay, but let's start for the basic part again. So Okay, so we are talking about equality operations. Okay, now there are three types of operations within the equality also. If someone knows what does equality operation means, I mean, does anyone know anything around it? What does equality means? What symbol should I use here for the equality?
Hi, Akhil. It's
Equals to
three.
equals to. Sorry.
No
Yeah,
worries, no worries. Yeah, so
I
it's
mean,
equal to, right?
you can use like uh, three times the equal
Right,
operator.
right. Okay, okay, understood, understood. You're directly reaching to the strict equality check, right? Okay, yeah, that is one of the three options which we have in the equality operations. But the symbol for equality is this, right? Equal sign. So in JavaScript, there are three things with the equal thing, okay, with the equal part. One is this operation. Second is this operation. We have two equal sign here, right? And the third is this one, three equal sign.
Yeah,
You
this
would
is the
have seen,
strict equal sign.
right?
This is the
This
strict
is
one, right?
this is the strict one, right? This is the strict one. This is the loose one,
This one.
and this is the assignment operation. This is not the equality operation. Okay. So, but again, since we are using equal sign there, so it has to be discussed in this context. Okay. Now, in most of the languages, you would have seen either this one, right? The line number 32, or you would have seen this one, 33, right? You would have not seen 34 kind of an operation in, I don't know, at least with Java, I can say you would have not seen that. I'm not sure about Python, but in Java at least, you will not see this. Okay, but in JavaScript it exists. Why? And what is the meaning of it? Let's discuss this. Again, it's a very good interview question again, right? About the strict of equality check. Okay, so please focus on this part then. Let me start. Okay. In any language, right? If you want to assign a value to a variable, how do you write code? You do something like this, right? First name equal to, right? That is the equal to here, right? Equal to and a value. Let's say Akhil, right? This is called as equality operation, right? You are assigning a value to a variable. This is what you do in all the languages, right? So although you're using the symbol as an equal symbol, but what exactly we are doing, it is like an assignment, right? You're assigning a value this isn't like we should you're okay. But again, remember, using this, what we do is we assign value, we assign value to a variable, and that's it, right? It does nothing else. It just assign a value. Whatever you feel like, you can assign a value to a variable. That's it. The second thing, which is the equal sign, right? This is called, this is like an equality check, right? If you want to compare two values, right? And you want to check the exact values, right? That if you want to compare, let's say 78 to 78, right? Right? In the and now I want to check. Okay, is my voice okay, or is it breaking for everyone?
Now is it better, but earlier it was brilliant.
It was, but it is good now.
Okay, okay. So should I repeat myself? Okay, let me repeat. Okay, let me repeat myself then. Uh, I hope this is clear, right? This is the assignment operation which we did. We're talking about equality operation, right? Where we want to compare things, right? So equality operation is about comparison, right? You want to compare things, compare two things. You want to compare two things, right? And based on the comparison, you will get what? A Boolean value as an output, either a true or a false, right? And you compare things, right? You always get a Boolean output. You will get a Boolean output, either true or false. So now considering right, if you put num and check whether they are equal or not, then what I will do is I will do this. If num1 double equal to num2, right? I'm sure you do the same thing in other languages, right? In Java, maybe in Python also, right? And in some other languages. So you will say, if this is same, you will say console.log equal, right? Else you will say console.log not equal, right? So let me run this. What did we got? Equal, right? Why did we got equal? Because here, right, it compared num1 with num2, right? And then we got this output, right? Because this was 78, it is comparing whether 78 is equal to 78, which is the case, right? And that's why it said equal here, right? If I would have given 79 and then I would run it, it will say what? Not equal, right? Okay. So it seems like this is sufficient, right? To make a comparison of two things, right? Even if it is a string, right? Then also it is okay. Let me say Akhil here, and I will compare with Akhil again. If I compare this and run this, right, it will compare a string to a string. I mean, Akhil with Akhil, right? It got equal, right? If I change this to, let's say, pot test and run this, it will say not equal, right? Because now the values are not matching. Now the values are not matching, right? Okay. So again, it is same as other language, right? Where you would have learned about all this. Okay. So what is the purpose of having the third case, which is this triple equal to, right? Let me write it here. I will copy this as this and paste it here, right? This time I will place an extra equal here. There are three equals, right? Mind you, there are three equals here. 1, 2, 3, right? And this is very different to what this is will be doing. So let me write the name. This would be a loose comparison. Loose comparison. Okay. And this is going to be a strict comparison. Okay. So again, I have explained this. Let's talk this about this only, right? As of now. So again, if I run it like this, right, you will see the output is similar, right? Let me run this. So I'm using just an extra equal. The logic is same. The values are same. Let me put Akhil here, right? First of all, let me check with Akhil. If I run right, I should see an equal from this comparison, and I should see an equal from this comparison also. Let's run this. You see equal, right? So one equal is coming from here, and second equal is coming from here. Then I mean, from here it is not clear, right? Why? I mean, what spatial this is doing as of now, right? It is not clear. Okay, so let me also change the value just to make sure that it also works the opposite also. So if I run this, both should say not equal. Both values are saying not equal. Okay, great. Okay, so what exactly the difference here? The difference lies in the fact that JavaScript does not. I mean, first of all, Uh, it does not allow the user to specify a data type a variable, right? You can see I'm not telling this hey, right, that num1 has to be a string. I'm just providing a value, right? So let's take it away, right? Let me show you an example where it will make a difference. I will now do 78, 78. Okay, these are both numeric values, right? And I'm comparing again. Let me run it again. You will see equal here and equal here, right? I hope this is still the same thing, right? There's nothing different here. Now the second part. If I do the 79, it will again say not equal, right? Okay. Now we talked about conversion of number to a string and string to a number, right? And I told you there is an automatic conversion also which happens between strings to numbers and numbers to string, right? Depending on the context, which JavaScript decides on its side, right? When you are doing some operation. Now see this at line number 39, I'm putting it as a number because I'm not putting it inside double quotes or single quotes. But I will keep this under double quotes. Now tell me, if I check the, what is this num2 now? Is it a number or a string?
String.
It is a string now, right? And what is this line number 39? This num1 is what?
Number.
Number.
It's a number, right? It's a number. Now, let me first comment this out. Okay, so if I run this if I now run this logic, right, to compare 78 equals to 78, what output should I get? Should it return true or should it return false?
True. Equal.
It should return true. Okay, why true?
Because here it is not checking the type of
Okay.
the variables.
Okay, someone else?
Okay, it's a loosely typed, so loosely equal. So it's not going to be, strictly type, check for type. Um, it
No,
would convert it. It would convert.
that's the right word. It will convert, right? It will
Mm.
do the automatic conversion of this 78, right, on the right hand side to a number. Okay. See, again, I told you, right, in JavaScript, right, there is something called coercion, and again, in any other language also, right, the conversions happen. There are certain cases where the conversion of one data type to another happens, right? Similarly, JavaScript happens, right? That case. So here you're trying to compare, right, things, and while comparing things, right, what JavaScript did was JavaScript found, okay, that this one is a type of number, right? So it knows that now, okay, it's a number, and you are trying to compare a number with another value, right, which is not, which is, the data type is string, right? The data type is string, but it can be converted to a number, right? It can be converted to a number, right? It can be converted to a number, because 78, if you convert, like, how can you convert this? You can convert it like this, right? You can just say number num2, let me create a variable num3, right? Num3 equals to this. What will happen here is this will convert your 78, the 78 into 78. This is what it will do, right? But this is what you're doing manually. But while you're comparing two things where things can be converted to into one another type, right? See here, right? You could convert this 78 into a 78, right? I mean, into a numeric value. So JavaScript, if you're using this double equal to, right, JavaScript will do that conversion internally. Okay, and it will do what? It will convert this 78, right? It will not compare like this. No, it will do what? It will do something like this. It will first put 78 here, which is a numeric value, and then it will see itself, okay, that you are trying to compare a number to a string, but that string can be converted to a number. So JavaScript will convert that into a string, into a number, right? So it will do this. Now, when you are checking this, right, you will get what? Ultimately, you are comparing a number to a number, right? Because the conversion has already happened. And now what will happen is it will say it is equal. Okay, it will say equal. Let me run this first of all and see the output. You see, it says equal, right? If I would have done Akhil, right? Now, even if JavaScript tries to let's say convert this, right? Let's say JavaScript will try to convert this Akhil to a number also, right? What will you get?
Also.
False.
Not false, right? You're trying
Not
to
equal.
convert
NaN, not a
NaN,
number.
right? You will get NaN, right? So you will get what? 78 equals to NaN. Now this is not equal, right? This is not equal. So you will get what? Not equal here. Let's run this. Not equal, right? But this has to be understood, like why it is saying this and why this is not saying this. And this is loose comparison. So in the loose comparison, what happens is JavaScript will convert data types, right? Convert type if possible. If it is possible, it will do that. Okay. So you can't have a control on this if you're using double equal to. But if you want that JavaScript should not do this, JavaScript should not convert your variable into another data type, right? Then in that case, you have to use strict comparison. And there comes the case of using 3 equal to. Okay. Let's do it now. Now see this. Let me remove this part. And what will happen here is I will put it 78 again. Right. So what did we got when we were comparing 78 as a number with a string? What we were getting as output of this? Equal, right? What do you think what will happen here? What output should I get out of this?
Not equal.
Not equal. Because this time it will treat one thing as a number and then the second thing as a string only. And a number and a string, right? These are two different things and they will not be compared. So it will say they are not equal and it will say not equal as an output of it. Let's run this. You see? This one is saying equal and this one is saying not equal. Now the question arises, which one should you use? Okay. So the simple answer is that you should try to use triple equal to. Okay, you should not be trying to use equal to because there you might leave a chance of error because of the internal workings of JavaScript. Okay, but here you are making sure that things are being compared like an apple with an apple, right? Right. I mean, I should not give this source. I should not say this. What it will do is it will compare things right as is what it received, right? But here it will do the conversions if needed. Okay. And in your Java language, right, when you do double equal to, right, this is what really happens, right? I mean, this is what really happens. Instead of, I mean, again, there are other things, right, which are involved. Yeah, please, Arvind, please ask the query.
Uh, yeah, sorry, Akhil. So, like in Java, we have the concept of hash code validations, right? So, like, I'm particular saying if you are comparing two objects, like two strings or kind of objects, so double equals means here like hash code, like reference comparison type of things, and dot equals means so it is like content validations, like original content, like as this is the uh, st- like street comparison. So is there any kind of things available in JavaScript or not?
First of all, what you mentioned about equals and as a method and double equal to as another, I mean, what we say, alternate option to compare things, right?
Yeah, yeah,
These are
like
two different things. Okay, first of all, and it depends in which context you are doing, right, and which data type you are using to do all of this. If you are using let's say again, what should I say, uh, again, it's a very elaborative discussion, so I'll not go in deep, but what I will say is here, right, first of all, those two are not equal. In case of Java, right, what we have is because of the object class, right, which is the super parent of every class, what happens there is that object class provides you both the methods, equals and hash code, right? And whenever
yeah,
you create a new class, right, by yourself, or you use a class which Java is providing, and in our case, string is a class in Java, right? So
yes,
that class which is provided by the Java developers has already overridden the equals method within it, right? And they have appended the logic to it. Okay, right? And there
yes,
they what they do is they convert, right? I mean, they compare both the things, right? I mean, what we say. Okay, again, I don't want to discuss too much on that, but what happens there is like these are two different things, right? If you compare, if you use double equal to and equals, right, as a method, you will see different kinds of output if you try to compare strings as two inputs, right, or maybe numbers as an input, right? When
yeah,
it comes to hash code, right, hash code is an extra thing, right, which you get, right, but that will make sense when you talk about collections, when you are
yes,
storing things, right, in the collections as an object.
Yes.
and there it makes sense, right? And there it has a value that, I mean, that is the case where you will see the USP of it, right? That the real usage of hash code. Okay, but again, it's a whole lot of different discussion. But to answer your query, in JavaScript you do not have hash code or something like equals. Okay, you don't have that.
So here we can compare two string also by using double equals and triple equals, right?
Right, you can do that.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank
Okay, and we will see more of things, right, when we discuss about strings, right? We'll see
you.
them.
Yeah,
Okay,
Yeah.
but as of now, these are the two operations. If you want to compare things, right, you will use double equal to, or double or triple equal to. Okay.
Yeah. Got it.
Yes, Shalish, please ask your query.
Yeah, I was saying if we compare like num3 with num1, so I think it should give us true in the second case, strict comparison.
Yes, it will, because you have converted that to one number, right? So if
Right.
I run this, equal, right?
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay. Again, right? I'm saying again, please. This is again an interview question, right? Asked by a lot of people in interviews, and it is the basic thing in JavaScript, right? But please be ready for such kind of questions in interview again, right? And again, we have not discussed about objects. We have not discussed about arrays. Okay, once we start discussing them and move ahead in the journey of learning, we will revisit this triple equal to and equal to, and we will see how does it make sense for us, right, to use in those contexts of objects. Okay, so this discussion is not over. We will revisit this at the right time. Yeah, Tejaswal, please.
So my question is like when we should use double equals to sign and triple equals to sign, or always we have to use triple equals to sign only.
Okay, so again, as a rule of thumb, I would suggest to use triple equal to only, right? Because knowingly and unknowingly, right, you still want to compare two equivalent things, right? You would not want to compare a string to a number, right? You would not want that. And if that is the case, you would like to return false, right? So because that is how things work in other languages, right? But because in JavaScript you do not specify data types for a variable, right? So in that case, this double equal to will be handy, right? But again, it can create a lot of confusion for us, and we can have some false outputs, right? Which we might not be expecting. So as a rule of thumb, I would suggest always try to use this triple equal to, and you will avoid a lot of issues which you can fall into. Okay.
Okay.
But if there is a need and you feel like, okay, double equal to is what I really need, then only in those cases use double equal to. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, great. Okay, so let's move ahead. Let me comment this out. What else? Okay, so let's move towards. Okay, these are the only things, right, which I wanted to cover on operation side. The next thing which I want to cover is about strings. Let's talk about strings now. This is one of the important data types which we have in JavaScript. So how we have already how we create string, right? We can create a variable. Let's select and now say first name again. First name equals to, you cannot say something like this. You cannot do this. First of all, right? If you say this, what JavaScript will think is that Akhil is like a variable. Okay. And let's say if I try to print this, right? Console.log first name. Let me run this, clean this up and run it, right? You see, you say Akhil is not defined. JavaScript is thinking that Akhil is a variable, right? So why it is thinking? Because I did not provide double quotes or single quotes here. So if you write your string like this, right, it will not, it will throw this error. Okay, the reference error. So what you should do is, in JavaScript, right, both things are allowed. You can place your string into single quotes also. This is also fine. You clean this. This is also fine. Or if you want to keep it into double quotes, this is also fine. Akhil, right? Let's do some operations on the string, right? Let me create one more variable, and I will call it as last name. And this is, I've used double quotes here. I'm using single quotes here as I wish, right? So this is what I got. Now let's say I want to print my full name. Okay, I want to print my full name. So what can I do? I can open console.log, right? And I can type here first name. So if I run this, like, what would I get? Akhil only getting printed, right? Now I want to print both of them together, right? Akhil, then there should be a space, and then there should be the last name coming in, right? So something like this. I want space here and then last name. Okay. See, I cannot write it this way. It will, so, and I want to display in the same line, right? And all this. So what I'm trying to do is
Your voice is breaking. Okay.
string cases, right? Okay. Okay. One speed test. Uh, okay. Am I audible now?
Yes.
Okay. I'm switching to a different network, right? Just give me a sec. I think there is some issue with my network. Let me switch to a different network. Okay. I'm still audible, right?
Yes.
Okay. I hope now we'll not face the issue. Okay, let's where I was. So what I was saying is that I want to concatenate two strings together, right? Akhil with, I mean, this first name with the last name, right? And if I have to do that, right, there is a operation, there is a plus. We need to add them together, right? I mean, concatenate together, right? Join them together. So how do you join two strings together? By using this plus sign. And if you use them with this string, right? If you use plus operator with the two strings, it works like a concatenator. It joins two strings together, right? If I run it now, see what will happen. I'm printing console.log first name plus last name. You see, it printed Akhil Jain. So it took first name, right? Placed Akhil there. It placed Akhil there, and then it joined the other variable, which is last name, and it see the value there, and it just added there, right? But I wanted a space, right, in between. So what will I do is I will add one more string, right, which would be like this. Okay, now it is like you're joining three strings. One string is this, second string is this, and third string is this. Akhil space and the third thing, right, the last thing. Let's run this. See, Akhil space then, right? Okay. Now, okay, this is one thing. Okay. Now, let's say I want to write more things, right? Let's say I want to write more things. I want to tell about my age. Let's say age, and let's say 40, right? 40 as an age. Let's say I want to add one more thing. Let's say I want to say about my city. So my city is, let's say, Noida, right? So this is Noida, and I want to print a statement about me that I am Akhil Jain, and I live. I'm 40 years of age, and I live in city Noida, right? So I want to write the complete statement. Let me start writing here, right? So what I'm saying is, I'm saying um, my name is, so I'll have to do this and then plus, right? Because this is something which I wanted to add, and this is like I'm filling up here, right? I'm saying my name is Akhil space Jain, okay? And then I need to do what I want to say. Uh, I live in this city, right? And then live in city this, and then I want to say my age is age, right? If I print this now, let me first comment out this part. If I want to print this now, what will happen? It will be able to print. My name is Akhil Jain. I live in Noida. My age is 40, right? This is how you will write. Okay. Let me think one more thing, right? Let's say I want to write multi-line string, right? I want to write in a multi-line, right? So let's say I want to write here like Akhil, and then I want to write, let's say, okay, let me say about my profession. Let profession. So I am typing here. I work. Okay, Chetan. Okay, so what I'm typing is in I work in a company in 9 to 6, and then I want to write this here, right? I want to write, uh, and then I teach 7 to 9, 7 to 9 p.m., 9 p.m., and then I also wanted to write, okay, 7 to 9 p.m., and I want to write here, then I teach attention, and then spend time with family, right? Spend time with family. This is what my profession is. Okay, let's say. So now this is like a multi-line comment, right? Which I wanted to provide in JavaScript. As you can see, right, this is not in the correct format, right? It is not working. So if I want to make it work right, we will have to be careful. What we have to do is, you can see I have already started the double quotes here and it is ending here, right? Somehow I need to make sure that these are these are treated like multiple lines, right? Currently, the way which I have written, it will not work this way, right? So you have to make that work. What I need to do is after every line, right, I will have to put this slash and slash. Okay, so this will be like a multi-line. Now you can see the entire thing from here to here is considered as a string, but again we are facing the same issue here. So what I'll do is I'll again say slash and slash, and now again, because if I put my double quotes over here, right, then I'm fine. But if I want to put double quotes here, and then again I have to do this only, right? And now I'm okay. This is how you create a multi-line string, right, in JavaScript by placing slash and slash and slash. Let's say I want to print this, and I will say plus my profession is profession. Okay, so let's now clean this up and let's run this. You see this? What is happening here? My name is Akhil Jain. I live in Noida. My age is this, and then it said my profession is this, and after this, right, it started. It just replaced this as it is, right, by placing here. So the first line is still in continuation with this my profession, right? But after 6, right, since it's so the slash n, so it then move to the next line and then print it like this. Okay. Okay. Now let me ask this one question to you. Do you feel comfortable in writing a code like this? Right? I mean, do you think like don't you think like it's quite messy, right? That you have to do plus thing again and again and again, right? To write a complete string in like this, right? So it's like a messy thing, right? And even to provide a multi-line string also, right, you will have to do something like this in a normal case. So what JavaScript says is that there is a third way. There's a third way which you can use if you want to write strings, and that way is very special. And I mean, they have a very special name for it, and they call it like, and the name is called template string. Okay, I told you if you create a variable, right, and would like to store it as a variable. I mean, if you try to create a string and you try to store it as a variable, you can use double quotes and single quotes. So we understand double quotes and we understand single quotes, right? So these can be used to create a string. But there's a third way. There's a third character which you can use to create a string, and if you use it right, it would be treated like a template string. And that character is the backtick. The one, if you are on the Windows, right, next to the one key, right, the numbers key, there's a backtick, right, or the tilde sign. So this sign you have to take. This is called as a backtick. I believe this is called backtick only, right? So backtick. So if you want to create a string, right, which can be more convenient for you, right? And let me tell you, this is the way which most of the developers use to write their strings in JavaScript, right? They use template strings, okay? But since we come from different languages, we are aware about single quotes and double quotes only. And sometimes we feel like, okay, what is this backtick coming here in the case of strings? But this is the third option in JavaScript which you can use to write a string. How does it work? Again, let's do it this way. Let me write let's say my business. Okay, and what I'll do is I want to store a string again, but this time I will use these signs. Okay, backtick. And here, whatever I feel like, you see here, there was a need for me to again concatenate two things. If I wanted to join two things together, I have to place plus plus sign, right? Let me write here. My name is, see, I will not use plus sign in the case of backtick, right? I will just say what I want to use it. I want to use this variable here, right? Here, right, somehow, but because it can form like a continuous string. So what you can do is you can replace that value, that variable over here by using this operation. You will use dollar sign, open the curly braces, and put, sorry, what was the name? First name, right? First name. My name is this, space, last name. You can see, right? I don't have to worry about the hassle of joining, right, and thinking about plus sign, concatenate, and make sure that there is a right spacing around between the words. I can just freely write like the way I want, right? Like I'm typing on a WordPad. It's just that whatever value you want to fill in, you have to make sure from a variable you have to put like this dollar sign and curly braces. Okay. So now I'm saying I live in. Do compare both the things, right? The effort which was put in to make that string over there, and see the effort which I have to put in here, right? I live in dollar city. Uh, my age, right? Plus, okay. For see, you see this, right? Profession part. Let me show you how you can use it in a backtick format. So I'm saying this profession. I'm saying my new profession. Let's say new profession. Okay. I will use backticks here. Okay, backticks, and I do not have to use these slashes now. There is no need. So you can even write multiple lines of strings, right, by using backticks. So see the convenience you're getting. Okay. Now I want to use this also, right? Okay, I did not close this. I did close. Yeah, I did not close. I close it, right? The backtick here. Now I want to use this string, this variable also. So I will say my profession is, and I will say dollar. That's it. See, let me run this. Let me first let me just comment this out and run this now. Okay, I did not printed this. Okay, I was okay. Console dot log my business. You see, I'm getting a similar output with so much less to worry about. I just put everything into backticks, and whatever value I want to fill in, I'm just putting them with dollar and this sign. And it also helps me with multi-line string also. So again, the key takeaway from here is that you should, if you're trying to create a string in JavaScript, try to use this tick signs, the backticks. So this format is called as template string. Okay, there is a special name for it, template string. Again, someone can ask you, what is the difference of template string with the normal strings which you can create in JavaScript? So this is the difference, right, which I just showed you. So you can explain them in the same way. Okay. Okay, we'll talk about the other things about string later, not right now, but this is what you should be knowing about string. Okay, any questions anyone has on this part? Boolean, equality, strings, right? So we compared both things. No? Okay. Let's move towards what we call. I did not want to start arrays today, but we still have time, so I'll 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 spend some time on arrays. Okay. So let's discuss the arrays part. Arrays. So first of all, what are arrays? Like, does anyone know? I'm sure you would have learned about arrays from different languages.
It
What
can
is
store
array?
different types of values.
It can store.
Different types of values.
When you say different
Strings,
types of values,
numbers, list.
what do you mean? Can I
So,
Like
store
strings,
so array
numbers.
is like a container which can store a same type of data type.
same type? Okay,
Yeah,
same
in
data type,
Java.
right?
Yeah, in
In
Java.
Java, right? Okay, it's like you're giving the label, right? With the warning sign in Java, right? Right, absolutely correct, right? This is how Java it works, right? What about JavaScript? And when you said it's like a container, right? You said it's like a container. Okay, let me write that word container. Okay. Anyone? Yes, Harsh, you were saying something. I think you want to. Did you complete it yourself? You want to add something?
No,
Okay. So
actually, I
again,
think I was confused. Like list and array are same thing, right?
arrays and
List.
list. Okay. Arrays and list are same. We'll see. Okay. We'll see. Okay. We'll talk about when we'll talk about list.
Actually,
I'll tell you. But at least in Java, right? Because we are not going to discuss Java very deep. But in Java, arrays and list are two different things. Okay. Arrays and list are two different things in Java. Okay. With JavaScript, we'll see. Right. Okay. It can store different types of values. Okay. Let us go to our drawing board first. Let's understand what is arrays. Okay, but before going there, right? Understand this, right? I told you when it comes to different data types in JavaScript, there are two types of data types. One is primitive, and other is the object one, right? Object. Whatever we have been discussing till now, numbers, string, boolean, undefined, null, right? All of these are belonging under this category, right? This bucket. Now we're discussing about arrays. Arrays falls under this bucket. Okay. So if someone asks you what is the data type of arrays, the data type of arrays is object. I mean, it belongs to this category of data types. Okay, it's not a primitive data type. It's an object type. It's an object data type. Okay. Okay. So again, I think I told yesterday itself that arrays, there's something called object itself, right? And there is functions, right? All of these are falling under this category of the object. We have map, we have set, right? And we have a lot of other things, but all of these are falling under the object data type, right? And what we discussed here was it was string, number, Boolean, undefined, and null, and the two which we are not discussing is begin and the symbol. So all 7 are part of primitive data types, and whatever is pending in JavaScript all falls under object. Okay, so arrays, object functions. At least these are the ones which we care about. So I'm telling you about them. Okay. Okay. So let's talk about arrays. What is array? So arrays, right? Again, as Amrinder said, right, that it's like a container. I would not say it's like a container, but what I would say is I'm forgetting a correct word which I should use, but I would not call it like a container, but like a sequence of things, right? Which you can store into this, right? So I don't know. I mean, okay, I'll think of that word and let you know. But what is happening here is that what you get is it's like a storage house. It's like a storage house where you can store things, right? So arrays is something like this, that you have different compartments within this storage house, and you will store things over there, right? So, but whenever you store things, right? Whenever you store something to it, what you will have is you will have a specific position where you will be storing things, right? So in arrays, right, your there is a number for that position, right? So if you start saying, right, the starting position for arrays is 0. So we are talking about index position currently. Index position, right? Index position is that position where you can store a value. Okay. So in case of arrays, you can have index positions like this. But what is there to remember is that index position starts from 0. Okay, it starts from 0. So if you create an array, right, and you try to add the item to the array, right, what you will do is you will add that item in the zeroth index, right, to start with, right? And then once this position is taken up, right, the next available position is this one. So whatever you add, right, will go in this under this position, right? And similarly, and so on. When we talk about Java, again, because I will give you a lot of examples because that is very easy to compare. If you talk about Java, right, in Java, arrays are meant to store only the values of same data type. Okay, same data type. What I mean, store values of same data type. What do we mean by this? We mean that let's say in Java, right, we have different data types, int, string, and all that, right? So let's say you wanted to create a array of marks where you will be like to store the float values, right, which the person has got from 100 marks for every subject, right? So it's like you wanted to create an array. So you can only store float values here, let's say, right? So it will be 79.5, 80, right? 80.0, let's say 93.75, and something like this, right? Only the numeric values that you in the float part, right? So when you are creating an array, you have to define what kind of data type your arrays will hold, okay? And they have to be of same data type. It is not the case that you can feed in name also here like Akhil, and you can have numeric values also. No, that is not allowed in Java. But JavaScript is very different, right? JavaScript has a lot of exceptions. In JavaScript, you can create an array, and that array, right, is very happy to store anything you want to stuff in there. You want to add a string? Okay, great. You want to add a number? You can add. You want to add a boolean? You can add. You want to add a function? You can add. You wanted to add a object? You can add. You want to add an array inside an array? You can. Right? It does not stop you for anything. So it stores value, right, of different data types, right, inside this, right? So you can have numbers, strings, boolean. all in one array. So this is the biggest difference between the arrays of Java and JavaScript. Okay, how do you create arrays? But again, the properties of arrays are same, right? You create an array, right? You create an array, and the index positions, and there is a position for every slot. So these are like slots, right? These are like slots where a value can sit in, right? These are like slots, and the proper terminology is the index positions, right? And index position always starts from 0. If I draw the comparison further, in Java, if you have to create an array, you have to define the size of the array. So if I want to create a string array, right? Let's say this string names equals to new string 5. Let's say so. What I'm doing, this is the Java syntax, right? To create an array. What it will do is it will create 5 boxes, and what it will tell the compiler is that someone can only fill in string values to it. But how many string values? Only 5. So it will create slot positions for only 5 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's it. If someone tries to put in an extra value to it, it will throw an error saying array out of bound exception, right? It will throw that exception. But again, JavaScript is very different. In JavaScript, you do not specify size. You do not specify size. It is free flowing. Whatever you want, how many you want, right? You can put into the array. There is no there is no end to it, right? You can keep on adding the stuff which you feel like. It will never stop you. Okay, so there is no boundaries, right? That you have to set only 5 values or 7 values. You cannot even specify that. It has to be free flowing. Okay, this is how it works. Am I missing something? Just a second. No. Okay, how do you create? Okay, this is one thing, right? Again, two comparison I told you. One, it can store different types of values. Second, there is no size. There is no restriction on the size of the arrays. It is free flowing. You can add infinite values if you feel like. And the third thing is, how do you create arrays, right, in JavaScript? So again, the logic would be this: you will use let const or whatever you feel like, whatever you think is correct. You will use it, and you will say let's say, and you will say names. Right? Let's say, right, names this time. And I want to store the what we say, the names of the students, right? Let's say. So if you remember, right, in JavaScript, I mean in Java, right? If people are coming from there, what you can do here is you will have to do. Let me this code. Okay, so let me just start writing it, right? Again, I'm please don't get offended, right? I'm using Java only because I think it is because most of us understand Java, so it really helps to draw that comparison between both the languages, and it also makes the learning process much more easier, right? But if someone does not know Java, please, I'm sorry for that. But I know Java very well, so I'm using that as a reference. If someone is comfortable with Python, but I don't know Python, so I'm not giving those examples. Okay, so let's start drawing the examples here, right? So in JavaScript, if you want to create an array, right, how do you do it? You say let names equals to, okay, and I will put a value here, but let me first do it in Java. What I do here is I will say I will have to specify the data type of it, right? And I will say names, and I will go there and say new string, and I will have to specify the size like this, right? Right, first of all, so I don't have to do this here. Second of all, if I want to now assign the values, I can do something like this: name in the index position, right? You open the brackets, you specify the index position to it, and then you will assign a value like this. Okay, you can do this, right? And similarly for the other values. Or let's say you don't want to do it one by one, what you could do is here only, right? You could open it, you could write something like this. You could say names string equals to curly braces, right? Curly braces, and then start adding the values. Let's say Akhil, and here whatever value you write, right, that becomes the size of the array. Let's say you added 3 values here, right? So now the size of the array became 3. But this is how you add the value using these curly braces, right? And that is for Java. When it comes to JavaScript, right, there is no need to define the size. So what you will do is you will just, here the brackets are different. You use these square brackets. Okay, you use these square brackets, not curly braces. Okay, here again the process is same. You will say Akhil, but here the good point is I can feed anything which I want. I can say true here. I can say undefined here. I can say null here. I can say 3 here, right? I can put another array inside this, right? I can put an object inside this, right? And I can do a lot of other stuff. So, but this is how you create an array. Now, let's say you want to, let's say, update a value of an array. What you will do is names, you use this, right? The way you access a value inside the array, right, of JSS is using these brackets, right? These square brackets only, like same like in Java, right? Here, right? You will give the position of it and then you can assign a value. Let's say I want to update this to Jan. I can do that. Let's say, right? I want to assign a value. Let's say currently I have 5 values, right? And I want to assign a value at the 7th position. 7th position, right? I have not filled the 6th position, but I'm saying I will fill the 7th position, right? So what it will do is it will take the 7th and I will say, okay, type there pot test. Now you might think, okay, you are saying 7th, I can see 5. What will happen to the 6th one? What value will that hold? Will it exist or not exist? Anyone knows?
Array index out of bounds exception will be thrown.
It will never throw that because as I said, right, it is an infinite, it has a size of infinite, it can grow like anything, so it will never throw that.
So after declaring like an array with 5 values in JavaScript, we can
Mhm.
add, I mean, like 6, 7, 8 after that.
Yes, and that is what I did for the 7th part. I'm saying this, right? But what will happen to the 6th part? I did not edit this, and I'm trying to, let's say I go there and I say console.log names 6. If I do this, what will happen now?
Undefined.
Absolutely correct. Oh, tell me the reasoning around it, Shailesh. Why it will be
Because
undefined?
I tested it on my code.
Okay, great. So yes, the answer is undefined. Okay. See, again, try to understand how arrays works in JavaScript. If you create an array, right? What arrays does is, as I said, there is no size to it. You can keep on having as many values as you feel like. Okay. So it will never restrict you and say that okay, you have filled up enough and now you cannot add more. So there is no such restriction in JavaScript. One is that thing, right? Because of this ease in JavaScript, what happens here is that you are allowed to fill the value at any slot position which you feel like. So if I have only one, let's say, if I have filled up 5 values initially, 5 slots, and I feel like okay, I will fill the 7th slot, and I'm keeping 6 slot. I did not fill anything into 6 slot. What JavaScript will do is JavaScript will add their value, a default value, and that default value would be what? Undefined. Again, as the name says, undefined. No one defined that value, so JavaScript said okay, but since you created a 7th slot, so 6th slot has to exist, and I will put a value there which is undefined. We getting this? Anyone? I mean, any issues on this part? JavaScript is a crazy language. Okay, so there are a lot of rules around it. So yeah, Anand, please.
Yeah, definitely, I agree with the crazy part. Just
Huh.
mention that, and in this case, that's sorting and all those are possible in arrays in JavaScript.
Yeah, everything is possible, right? Everything is possible, but again, we'll see them, right? But again, yeah, it is possible, and we can do a lot of other things. There are a lot of other data types which you can use, like maps and sets, right? Which can help you achieve your intended objective.
Okay.
So the short answer to your query is yes. Okay. Okay. So, but again, coming back to the arrays part, so let's go and see this in action, right? Let's see how arrays are created. So see, although the currently, right, this might feel like this is like very different to any other language, which is true, right? I'm not denying that. It is very different, right? But that is what makes it so adaptable. It is so free flowing that you can do whatever you feel like in JavaScript. And that is why it is so much popular and used in the UI automation, I mean UI applications, right, which you create, which the developers create. Okay. It is feeling like crazy to us because we are learning it for the first time, right? Or we are exploring it in depth for the first time. But once you start knowing about all these rules, right, and then start to write the code, everything will start making a lot of sense. Let's create a variable. Let's create a variable. I'm creating a variable names, and let's define a array. Okay, these brackets, right? So please remember, these are square brackets, not curly braces. Don't do this. If you do this, right, it is creating an object, which is another data type in JavaScript. Okay, so please remember, we have to use these brackets here. Now let me start filling the values. I'm saying Akhil. I'm saying 78. I'm saying true. I'm saying undefined. I'm saying null. And let me create one more thing. Let me say let subjects. Let's say subjects. Maths, English. Let's say these are the only subjects, and I will put this array into this array by just doing this. Okay, and I can do a lot more other things, but let me stop here. Right now, this is my array. Okay, which I've created. Okay, so what can I do here? So let me first try to print this. Will I be able to print like this? Let's just see. If I say names, right, and let me clean this up and run this. You see, you can see the array, right? So Akhil is printed 78, true, undefined, null, and then there is a sub array within an array, right? So it is possible. Okay, so what is this one? So if you want to print the entire array like this, you can do that. But let's say I'm not interested in the entire array. I'm interested into a specific position, right, of the array, which I want to have. So what I can do is, if I'm interested in that way, I will use the array names like this. I will open the brackets, and I will give the index position. Let's say I want to access the first value, right? And the first value always exists at the 0th index. So I want to see this. I will say 0. And if I run this, Akhil, right? I got Akhil. So let's say I want to see the subjects part, right? So what is there? Akhil here, right? This is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I want to see this, so I will say 5 and run this. Okay, let me just remove this and run this. You can see maths and English, right? Again, we are not talking about 2D array or 3D array, but let's see if I wanted to access. So you got an array, right? An entire array now. And again, this array, if I want to access maths, right, which is the 0th position of this array. So if I want this, I think I can do it this way. I'm not 100% correct. I'm getting confused here because of Java logic, but let's try. So I'm saying fifth, and I know it's an array. That's why I can place this one, right? Let us try actually. If I can do this, I'm not sure. Yes, I can. So again, the same logic works here, right? So it is giving me maths here because I'm saying this gives me this part, which is an array, and then I'm using it to say that okay, give me the 0th value, 0th slot of this array. So it found okay, 0th at the 0th slot, who is sitting? Maths is sitting. So it gave you that. Okay. So this is how you can do it. Now let me do the other part. We'll talk about 2D arrays, so right when the time comes, but let's just understand things. Now, so how many slots I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sorry, but these are the number of slots, but the index position starts from 0. So it is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right. So if I talk about index positions, so index position starts from 0 to 5. So in total, how many values I have? The total values are 6, right? Now there is a method in arrays similar to Java, right? So we have a method to check the size of the array, the current size, whatever size you currently have. So if you want to do that, you will say the array name dot length. If you print this, what will you get? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It should print me 6. Okay, let's run this. Let me clean it up. 6. So it gives me this. It says that okay, there are 6 values inside that array. Okay. Now let's try to access a slot which does not exist currently. You can see I have 0 to 5, right? Let us try to access the 6th slot. This does not exist, right? There is no value inside this. So if I say 6 now, what will I get? It will say it is undefined. If I say 7, okay, let me clean this up. Undefined. Okay, it is saying that there is no value inside this, but since the number of positions for which you have to add the value are 5. I mean these slots, the slot which you're trying to X does not have a value, and by default JavaScript will add a value to it and it will say undefined. Let me put a value actually. Let's say I will fill a value there. If I want to fill a value at a particular slot, let's say 7th only, I want to fill the value, and I will fill a value as, let's say, a string value, let's say Jan. Okay. Now if I try to check the length of it, let's see what is the length which I'm getting now. How many values I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So these are 6 value already, and the slot position for this was 5. So what is really happening is it is happening. It is doing something like this. So yeah, please, sir.
So, like if we like you just like before adding Jan to the seventh position, you printed names dot length and it gave undefined. So like it will never give like exception like you don't have any value. So like
No.
I mean,
What is happening here
let's
is
say
what? Yeah, please. Complete your question, yeah, please.
let's say uh, like what happens in like in my project, what I do, like we capture all the values and store it in an array, and then we access those objects that are stored in that array. So these are the web locators. So they are stored as an object. So like if like due to some changes in the UI or whatever, the number of objects are less, and but what I was accessing was the last like let's say the seventh position, but the when I executed my code, the object that was stored in the array was 5. So like it will give undefined then, like not throw an exception so that we can fix
Okay.
that.
Okay. Tell me one thing first. You are using TypeScript or JavaScript?
JavaScript.
Okay. If you're using JavaScript, you should get undefined. Are you not getting undefined there?
No, I'm just confused. Like, why should not it not give exception?
It will not give, right? This is how it works. Yeah, Kiran, please.
I think he's saying in Java he's getting exception for index number 7, and he's comparing this with JavaScript and he's saying why we are not getting exception.
Harsh, you are talking about JavaScript only, right? Not Java.
Yes, yes.
So yes, I mean, so- right, Kiran? So what I explained is correct, right?
Sorry,
Or is there any confusion?
I got confused. I thought he's telling you the story of how he's fetching the objects and storing in an array, and now he's trying to uh, like check the index 7, and he's getting exception there in Java. Now that he's saying, so we are not getting exception here, right? We are getting a undefined. So I
He's
thought
Mhm.
he's comparing
Okay.
with this feature.
Okay. Actually, he does not remember. He's saying he does not remember if he tries to access the seventh index position, what he is getting. Right? Harsh, you're saying this only.
Yes, sir. I'm just was confused. Like,
Right.
I was
So
confused.
right. So the answer to your query is that you will get undefined if their value does not exist there. Okay. The short answer is this, right? And again, what you should do is you should first check the length of your array, and then only you should try to access the values, right? Be, I mean, between those ranges, right? Only. Okay, because in JavaScript there is, I mean, you cannot define the boundaries of your arrays, and it will have only 5 slots or 7 slots. Whatever you will give to array, right? It will attain that size, and it's dynamic,
Understood.
right? It's not static. It's not fixed. It's dynamic. It can keep on growing. Unlike Java, in Java's arrays are not growable, but here they are. Okay. Okay.
Understood.
Great. So we were discussing about the this part. So let's say we have this is 0 slot, 1 slot, 2 slot, 3 slot, 4 slot, 5 slot, and now I'm trying to put in the 7 slot. So this is the fifth slot, right? So what will happen is what I'm really trying to do is I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to put here Jan, right? This is something which I'm trying to do, right? And you can see I'm not filling here something, right? I mean, this is what I'm thinking I'm doing, right? Okay, if I do run this line, let me remove it and let's see what really happens. If I do this part, first of all, let's check the length of it. Let's see what is the length now becomes, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Earlier the output was 6, right, of the length. Now let's see whether it will give 7 or 8 as an output, right? Let's check this. You see, it gave 8. It gave 8. So what are we learning from is what JavaScript did was we told JavaScript that okay, man, we already have an array. The size of the array is 6. Okay, I am asking you to put a new value at I mean, at the seventh position, right? So, so let me do one thing. Let me just this is 0 position. This is 1 position. This is 2 position. This is 3 position. This is 4 position. This is 5 position. I'm leaving out the sixth position. You can see, right? I'm leaving out the sixth position. This is the sixth position, and this is the seventh position where I'm trying to fill in Jan, right? And this is the seventh position there, right? So when I'm doing this, right, this is what happens with the array. It forms like this, right? So at the seventh position, it gets Jan. Now, if from the JavaScript point of view, right, it will see, okay, I have occupied I have occupied till the slot number 7, right? I mean, this index position. So if I have to count the number of entries I have, there are 8 actually, right? Because 6 also exists, although there is no value assigned to it. So what JavaScript will do is they will fill undefined here, okay? Or I mean, this is the current size, okay? This is the current size if you would see. But let's say you ask JavaScript, okay, although JavaScript know that the current size is this much, right? But you ask that, okay, give me a value which is placed at, let's say, 12th position, right? Now JavaScript will say, okay, you are asking me this, right? And if you ask me that what is the value at a place which does not exist, I will always give you undefined. Okay, you can understand this as a rule also, right? If that is more easy for you to understand, right? But this is what it works like. Okay, and whatever gaps would be remaining, right, like this in this case, right, JavaScript will fill undefined there, right? So you can see, right, whether you leave a gap or whether you try to access a slot which does not has a value, in both the cases you will get undefined. Okay, and this is something to remember, because when you will be creating logic, right, in your JavaScript, you will face a lot of issues, right? Because sometimes what happens is generally in the case of APIs, right? When you are receiving APIs from the server, right, they are given to you in the JSON format. You would like to parse them, right, using JavaScript and store it into an array. So sometimes those objects are blank, right? So in most of the cases, right, you will see undefined there, right? If those are blank and all, right. And again, as Harsh was giving an example, in his example also, right, he's expecting that I should receive 10 values, but what he received was, let's say, 7 values. And as per his logic, right, he's trying to access the 10th value, right, in his logic. So what will he receive? Undefined. Because arrays will not throw an error at that point of time. It will say, okay, I know that the value does not exist, but since you asked me, I will give you a value, and that value would be undefined. Okay, so you will have to place your checks accordingly. But as a rule, you need to understand this and remember this part. Okay. Okay, I think this is enough for today. I will not cover anything else, otherwise it will be too much. Right. Tomorrow, right, I'm going to spend much more time on arrays only. So, and our entire class would be on arrays. If you would see, right, we just saw one method of array, which is length. There are so many methods which are available in arrays, which we have to understand. I'm not sure whether I'll be able to cover this into a single class, but let's see how much I can cover. Okay, so we'll spend enough time tomorrow on the arrays only, right? And I would encourage everyone to please go back and do some hands-on on arrays, right? Try to play with these methods if you can. If you can't, no worries. But this is what we are going to discuss tomorrow. And someone was asking about sort, right? So there is a method there. I saw this here, right? So we'll discuss everything tomorrow. Okay. Any question anyone has as of now? Yeah, Nand, please.
So I was trying the notebook from mine, and what I did is I just declared an array.
Your voice is not clear, Anand. Your voice is breaking. Is it me or for everyone?
I'm facing some connectivity issue at my end.
It is breaking.
Yeah, Anand. So Anand, I cannot hear you actually properly. Okay. Maybe Anand, you can also post a query if you want to ask something, maybe on Discord also. I can answer there also if network is an issue. Anyone else has a query? No? Okay.
Akhil, just a silly one. What is the default value JavaScript accepts in terms of array?
When you say default value means, I didn't get the question.
An empty array can be initialized, or array which in Java it takes null or empty array. How does it takes in
So
JavaScript?
let's say you create like this, right?
Yeah,
Right. So what is happening here? You do not have a size here, right?
right.
So what you will do here? Let's say I am trying to access this, right? What this will print? Okay, tell me. Okay, anyone? What this will print me?
I think undefined, as you explained.
Not undefined. It will print
None.
me the this thing, right? The empty array, like with these brackets, I believe. Let's see. Let's see. Let me check. I may be wrong, but I think this is what it will print. You see, it printed this because this is what you define. If you try to access, let's say, 0 position, right, of this array, which does not exist. So what you will get now? Undefined.
Undefined.
This time you will get undefined.
Okay.
Okay.
So undefined comes on the indexes where, I mean,
For the values,
0
right?
for the value
Which
which the array stores. If it
Hmm.
is not defined anything, then it gives undefined. I mean, it's okay.
Right.
Fine.
Right.
Understood.
Okay. Yeah. So this is how it works, and yeah. Okay. Yeah, Anand. Let's try if your voice is clear now.
Audible?
Yes, this time you're audible. Yeah, please ask your query.
So basically just to share my queries. I tried hands-on.
No. Your voice is again not clear.
Anand, we are struggling to hear you. Sorry again,
Okay,
Anand.
no, okay. I'll post my query on Discord. Sorry.
Yeah, please. Otherwise, you can ask tomorrow, right? Maybe once the network is better also. If you want answer in person, right?
Akhil, one more. I think we'll spend some more time tomorrow, but just I'm getting one question. When we are writing when you're initializing any array in JavaScript, integer can be defined as integer array or string can be defined as string array.
No, right? I told you. First of all, JavaScript does not allow you to specify data types for any variables. So the
Right.
rule is same for arrays, right? So one is that rule. Second of all, I also told that arrays in JavaScript can hold any kind of value,
Any kind of value. Okay.
right? So it is not confined to a specific data type. Because it is free flowing, you can fit in anything here, right? It's like you
Mhm.
can fit in all the animals here, all the humans, right, and everything inside a single array, and it will not even worry, right? It will say, okay, great, keep on adding, right? But this is how JavaScript works. I mean, see, try to understand, right? We are learning JavaScript now, and we have to learn TypeScript also, right? There is a reason why TypeScript exists, right? The reason TypeScript exists is because of all these issues which we are seeing here with JavaScript, right? JavaScript is so different, right? The way it behaves and all, right? That people have to create a wrapper around JavaScript just to make you feel at home because you come from a language of Java, right? You come from that background. And when someone tries to understand JavaScript, there are a whole lot of different kind of concepts here, right? That makes it very crazy and very difficult for someone who does not get all the insights. And that's why there was a need for TypeScript to come in. So it's like a wrapper and it makes all these silly things, right? Which JavaScript, I should say silly or powerful things, but these are the things which JavaScript has, right? And it tries to, tries to make it as comparable with the other OOPS language in the world, like Java. Okay, so you will see all these shortcomings which we feel it is a shortcoming as of now in JavaScript. We will see all of these are getting away once we move to TypeScript. Okay, and that is the
Okay.
whole reason why TypeScript exists.
And the Playwright tool, does it directly works with TypeScript or JavaScript?
I think it works with both, right? I mean, as far as
Yes,
I
it works
remember,
in both the languages.
right? It works with both. I think WebDriver IO also works with both. Even Cypress, I think Cypress when started, right, it worked with JavaScript, but I think it can work with TypeScript also. If,
Yes, it can
someone,
work with TypeScript and JavaScript.
right? So I think all three can work with all the languages.
The
With
most
both the
preferable
languages.
one. The ways we work in Selenium, Java is the most preferable language we pick up. The same way I have a curious question on Playwright tool, which is the most preferred language being used out.
You can use Java there, right? Java is also supported there in Playwright. You
And
can work
better.
with Java on it.
Okay, I got my answer. Thank you.
Right? So you can skip the hassle and start just using Java there, right? I am sure, right? Java can be used, right? Please correct me if I'm wrong there,
Yes, it can be.
right?
Yes.
We can use Java, right? So you can use Java there. So if your intention is only to use Playwright, you can skip all this and just focus on Java and learn this, and then come back on Playwright module. But again, right? See, there's a reason, right? People use JavaScript and TypeScript. There is a reason because all the modern web applications, right, are created using the modern frameworks like React, Vue, and Next.js, right? And all these languages are written using TypeScript or JavaScript, right? When you're using those frameworks like React and all. So in the industry, right, what people or the trend is or the things are, first of all, because all the developers are using JavaScript or TypeScript to write their piece of code on UI, and our primary job is to test only those UI, right? So it brings a lot of synergies and sync, right? When testing team is also using the same language. First of all, that is one of the very core reason, right, of choosing a language. Second reason around this is because the web applications are designed using JavaScript, right? And browser understand JavaScript. That is the second reason. And so again, Java, when you use JavaScript, right, it becomes easy, right, to handle a lot of modern applications behaviors, right, which they provide. Okay. again, you might have experienced this, you might have not experienced this, but I think you will eventually understand that part once we move, forward in our journey, right, of learning. So you will realize that part. And again, right, there are when you use and when it comes to using Cypress, Playwright, and WebDriver IO instead of Selenium, the reasoning is about the synchronization issues, right, which you get with Selenium, right? That was the primary reason where people started moving from Selenium to all these tools. I worked on Protector, so I've worked on Protector very extensively. So that was the core reason for us to move to Protector, because my application moved from I think Java Beans or whatever that language was. So they moved from there to Angular application. Our Angular UI framework was used to design the UI. So Protector was the testing end-to-end solution, right, which was provided by the Angular team. And we thought, okay, since this is coming from the originator of that framework, so let's move to that language. But the language, to move to that framework, right? And the language which was supported was TypeScript or JavaScript. So that is how that transition happened. But now the Protector is gone, it is deprecated. So all these three things have came in, and they are taking all the market share of Protector. But it's a very big market, because all the UI, all the applications which are being created in the world currently are all modern, are using all these modern based frameworks, Vue.js, React, Angular, and I don't know like how many of them are there. So these are all the reasoning around it, right? That's why people are moving towards it, and I'm sure you understand this already. The companies are already making that shift, and that is where there is a need to learn all this, right? And again, coming back to the question, what you should use, TypeScript or JavaScript, if that is a choice, you can use TypeScript. You can be very happy with using TypeScript, but you have to understand under the hood, everything is still JavaScript only, because it is just a wrapper. Everything gets compiled to JavaScript only. So people who start with TypeScript, right, they face a difficulty in understanding JavaScript later. So it is always essential to start with JavaScript first, understand all the basic rules and everything around JavaScript. Once you're okay with JavaScript, then make a transition to TypeScript. That transition would be very smooth then, and you will have less queries, and it will be very easy for you to pick up that language, because most of the things over there, right, are similar to other OOPS languages like Java and other things, right? And you will also be able to understand all the concepts which you will find there. But under the hood, it's still JavaScript only. I realized it very lately when I started working on JavaScript, right? I was given TypeScript, so I was wondering what is happening, and then I realized that I am making a mistake. So I went to the board again and then learned JavaScript first, and then moved to TypeScript, learned TypeScript first, did later, right, and then moved back to the project and worked on it. I started the wrong way, right? So I don't want others to do that. So please follow this journey only. Learn JavaScript first, then TypeScript, and then start using it. You will feel much better and much more confident about it. Okay, I think enough of talk. Let's wrap it up today, right? If no one has any query. Okay, great, right? Let's meet tomorrow. Good night. Bye bye.
Session.
Take care. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Akhil. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Akil. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.